If you're kicking yourself for missing out on Bitcoin last year when it soared from $1,000 to as high as $20,000, or if you're worried that the Bitcoin bubble is about to burst into a million pieces, I have some good news for you. You're not too late. Bitcoin mania is just beginning. As early as April 2nd, a massive $849 billion mountain of money could begin flowing into Bitcoin. And I expect 3 tiny cryptos will soar over the following weeks. I'm talking about making 50, 100, even 200 times your money simply by buying before April 2nd. In a moment, I'll show you why they've chosen that day to make their move. Now, I know that's a big promise. You might be a little skeptical. Lots of people certainly were the first time I told them to buy Bitcoin. That was back in April 2016 when Bitcoin traded for $428. People didn't understand what it was. They thought I was living in a fantasy land. But I had spoken to the top cryptocurrency minds, and I understood just how valuable the underlying blockchain technology could be. Anyone who listened to me could have tripled their money in less than a year. And as we speak, less than 2 years later, anyone who bought when I suggested could have made as much as 4,325% by now. That's enough to turn $1,000 into $43,252 and $10,000 into $432,523. You may be wondering, is there any money left for me? The answer is yes. But you'll have to act before April 2nd. If you wait too long, you'll miss out on another surge in crypto prices. You see, something big is about to happen to Bitcoin, something that's already beginning to send its price higher. Billionaire Mike Novogratz, a former hedge fund manager, says it will send Bitcoin to $40,000 this year. Billionaire Jeremy Liu, a Silicon Valley icon, believes it could send Bitcoin to a few $100,000. And some are even predicting it will help Bitcoin hit $1 million just a few years from now. My conservative math tells me Bitcoin could easily hit $350,000 sometime in the next few years. That means if you invest in Bitcoin right now, you could still make 20 times your money. And while Bitcoin is the gold standard, there are a few other cryptos that could see even higher gains during the same time period. In fact, there are 3 specific cryptos I'm paying close attention to. Look, no one can predict the future, but Bloomberg believes the unprecedented shift that's coming could open the floodgates. And all the big cryptocurrency players I know, the founders, venture capitalists, development teams, they're all placing huge multi-million-dollar bets that Bitcoin and a handful of lesser-known cryptos are about to skyrocket. Bottom line, this will be the biggest thing that's ever happened to cryptocurrencies. And if you get ahead of it, you may never have to worry about money again. There's only one catch. You must act quickly. If you continue to sit on the sidelines, you'll miss the mania, the real mania, and you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Once this shift takes place, there's no going back. You'll never see the days of Bitcoin $10,000, Bitcoin $20,000, or even Bitcoin $30,000 again. This is your last chance to get in before it goes to the moon. How do I know? Because I've seen it happen before. Bitcoin is following a familiar boom pattern. My name is Tika Tiwari, and I've spent the last 2 years helping people make extraordinary gains with cryptocurrencies. Gains like 207% in 11 days, 1,190% in 3 months, 2,050% in 13 months, 11,004% in 21 months, and even 14,354% in 6 months. Back in November, I held one of the biggest Bitcoin events ever, the $1 million Bitcoin giveaway. Bitcoin.com, one of the largest cryptocurrency websites, sponsored the event. Over 160,000 people registered. And Anthony DiOrio, one of the co-founders of Ethereum, was a special guest, as was crypto pioneer Charlie Shrem, who was once listed as one of the top 5 Bitcoin millionaires. On air, I predicted that Bitcoin was about to see a huge price surge and could double or triple in the coming months. And I put my money where my mouth was. I gave everyone in attendance the chance to claim a portion of $1 million of Bitcoin that I'd purchased. A lot of people thought I was nuts, but it didn't take long for my prediction to come true. Bitcoin shot past $15,000 a month later, more than doubling. And the pick I called the next big thing in cryptocurrencies soared over 1,368%. It became the second most popular cryptocurrency within 2 months of my prediction. You could have made more than 13 times your money in 8 weeks. But here's the thing. We're about to see an even bigger move. One that will make the last one seem like a drop in the bucket. You see, I've worked in the financial markets for over 25 years, including serving as a vice president on Wall Street and managing a hedge fund. And I can tell you, Bitcoin is following a familiar pattern we saw in the 2000s, in the 90s, and in the 80s, and on and on. Here's what's happening. 1. A new investment comes to market. 2. Early adopters get in. 3. And then something happens. A major shift takes place, just like we're about to see on April 2nd. Each time, huge profits follow. Millions and millions of dollars go up for grabs. During the last real estate boom of the 2000s, this shift fed the extraordinary price surge, according to CNN. It sent the Nasdaq up 5-fold in the latter half of the 90s, and it created a trillion-dollar boom in the 1980s. Now it's about to happen with cryptocurrencies. And if you act quickly, you could make a life-changing fortune in a matter of months, all while risking just a few $100s. So what is going to happen on April 2nd? Some of Wall Street's largest players are gearing up for Bitcoin. In short, we're about to see a huge influx of cash into the crypto markets, more than we've ever seen before. I'm talking about big institutional money, potentially trillions of dollars from some of the biggest players in the world. Big banks, pensions, hedge funds, and trillion-dollar asset managers. This is a game changer. It's a major stamp of approval for cryptocurrencies, and it's going to trigger enormous growth. Keep in mind, this isn't some out-of-left-field prediction. This is coming from the smartest, most connected people on Wall Street. You see, I recently attended a major cryptocurrency event, one of the biggest of the year in New York City, but I was also invited to a private gathering after the event. That's where I learned what's really going on. This after party was put together by one of the top cryptocurrency billionaires, a former hedge fund manager whose name you've probably seen in the newspaper recently. It was a who's who of Silicon Valley power players and Wall Street executives. It was there that I discovered, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Wall Street is preparing to make a big move. And as I told my team when I got back, it's not going to be a tidal wave. It's going to be an ocean of money. The last time this happened on a much smaller scale, you could have tripled your money in a month. Now it's about to happen again in a much bigger way. And I believe it will trigger the biggest Bitcoin bull market yet. Now, I realize this is the exact opposite of what you're hearing from the experts on TV. They're all predicting Bitcoin's death. Of course, what they don't tell you is they've already written over 225 Bitcoin obituaries. On June 20th, 2011, Forbes wrote, "So that's the end of Bitcoin then." On January 16, 2015, USA Today wrote, "Bitcoin is headed to the ash heap." And on December 24th, 2017, the folks at the Huffington Post called it a hoax. You'd think they'd learn. But the truth is, most of the talking heads on TV have no experience with Bitcoin. I do. I've spent the last 2 years helping everyday people get rich with cryptocurrencies. Perhaps you've come across my cryptocurrency research on the internet. It started popping up on Bitcoin.com, BitcoinTalk.org, ZeroHedge, Reddit, and many other cryptocurrency sites. Or maybe you've seen me on CNBC, Fox Business, or ABC's Nightline. I started recommending cryptocurrencies in April 2016, long before the recent run-up. I told my readers that cryptos were the modern-day version of the early 90s tech market, that someday we would look back on some of these cryptos just like we do Microsoft, Apple, and Dell, back before they shot up 40,000%, 50,000%, 90,000%. At the time, most folks were nervous about putting any money in these little-known investments, but those who overcame their fears have seen some of the biggest gains of their life. I told you what happened with Bitcoin. Anybody who got in on my initial recommendation could have made as much as 4,325% in gains. Same thing with Ethereum. Today, it's one of the most popular cryptocurrencies, but as recently as a year ago, it was virtually unknown. I came across it during my research and arranged a meeting with Vitalik Buterin, the guy who created it. I could immediately tell that Ethereum was going to be big, so I recommended it when it was trading for just $9. Since then, it's passed $1,000. My readers have had the chance to make 11,318%. Just $1,000 in this play could have turned into $113,000 in less than 2 years. $10,000 would have nearly made you $1.3 million. Another play returned 1,522% in 11 months. And another, which I'll tell you more about later, has gone from 12 cents to as high as $173. That's a 139,000% return. No, that's not a typo. You could have turned just $100 into $139,000, $1,000 into as much as $1.3 million, and $10,000 into $13.9 million. It's been wonderful to hear from all the people profiting from my research. They tell me how they've been able to retire early, pay off all their debts, take exotic vacations. BJ recently wrote to say, "I can't stop smiling. I just added up our crypto account balances, and because of you, Tika, the total is over $1 million. You've helped me turn $12,000 into $1,032,763 in just a little over a year. Wow. Thank you seems insufficient. You've sent my investing retirement goal into warp speed. Thank you for all your hard work for us. I am very grateful." Another man, John M. in St. Louis, saw $300 grow to as much as $125,000. And Barry, a 70-year-old self-proclaimed financial disaster who lost his retirement to fraud, said, "Thanks to you, I have profited over $4.5 million, mostly since April 2017. Hundreds of thousands of people have started following my work. That includes Roger Ver, a.k.a. Bitcoin Jesus. He's made a cryptocurrency fortune estimated at hundreds of millions of dollars. He's one of the most prolific crypto investors out there, and he told me that he reads my work. I don't tell you this to brag. I just want you to know that I have a lot of experience in this market. I've personally turned a small amount of money into a 7-figure fortune. I've helped a lot of people get rich. And now I'd like to help you do the same. We're not even close to being done yet. We're about to see a major buying fever. You see, so far, most Bitcoin buying has come from early adopters, people in the know, as well as a few tire kickers. The institutional money has completely missed out. Well, as you can imagine, they don't like being left out in the cold. Now that Bitcoin is making headlines across the globe, soaring in value. They want in. There's just one problem. The cryptocurrency market doesn't have the proper infrastructure in place. It needs what Wall Street calls institutional-grade custodians, someone set up to handle multi-billion-dollar accounts. So far, that hasn't been available until now. A few Goldman Sachs insiders just leaked that the company is about to launch a cryptocurrency trading desk. In other words, for the first time, big institutions will be able to invest in Bitcoin through Goldman Sachs. This is groundbreaking. Nothing like this has ever happened before. It's similar to when the first tech stocks traded on the NASDAQ, or when institutional investors were able to buy gold for the first time in 1974. It's expected to go live in the second quarter of this year, as early as April 2nd. Now, since this wasn't an official announcement from Goldman Sachs, most people still don't know about it. But it sets the stage for the biggest, wealthiest institutions to buy and sell Bitcoin. Figuring conservatively, it could easily unlock $849 billion in the near future. I'll show you the math in a minute. And over the longer term, it could unlock trillions more. How much money can you expect to pocket in the coming weeks? When this happened before, you could have tripled your money in a month. On December 10, the Chicago Board Options Exchange, CBOE, introduced cryptocurrency derivatives. Then just 1 week later, its neighbor across the street, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, CME, launched Bitcoin futures. This was big news at the time. There were a lot of headlines about it. Right before this was announced, I was asked to speak at an investment conference in Las Vegas. On stage, I said that it would unleash a stampede of elephant-sized capital. That's exactly what happened. In just over a month, Bitcoin nearly quadrupled in price. It went from $6,400 all the way to $20,000. At today's prices, that would send Bitcoin over $45,000. But remember, what's happening now is much bigger. You see, these Bitcoin futures contracts don't actually trade in Bitcoin. They trade in dollars. However, that's not the case with what's happening with Goldman Sachs. Real institutional money is going to begin flowing into actual Bitcoin. Given that I wouldn't be surprised to see it jump 2 or 3 times higher than it did last time, with many lesser-known cryptos soaring much higher than Bitcoin. Now, this news alone is reason enough for you to back up the truck. But what's really exciting is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Coinbase, the largest, most respected cryptocurrency brokerage, is also in the process of becoming a qualified custodian. That means it will also be set up to handle billions in institutional money. That means time is of the essence. You have very little time to get out ahead of the big money. A month from now, a week from now, maybe even tomorrow, you could see headlines about Coinbase accepting a huge multi-billion-dollar bet on Bitcoin. In fact, Coinbase has already said that it knows of $10 billion just waiting to get in. The good news is, with my experience and connections, I'll know this date before the mass media makes a frenzy of the official announcement. And if you follow my research, you'll know exactly when to pull the trigger. I hope you have some money in Bitcoin before this money flows in. It is going to have a huge impact on its price. But I really suggest you check out the 3 smaller crypto plays I'm recommending. They could outpace Bitcoin by 20 and 30 times the price. Already, these announcements have helped little-known cryptos soar 93%. 111%, and 217% overnight. And they're just revving up the engines. The next few months are going to mark a massive second shift upwards for cryptos. All of these coins, including Bitcoin, are currently trading for fractions of what they'll be worth in the next year or so. The gains could be the same as last year when Bitcoin went from $1,000 to $20,000. Or even better. Another 1,900% move would push Bitcoin over $300,000. But you must act immediately. We're at a unique moment in Bitcoin history. Years from now, people will look back at this moment as the last time you could get in on cryptocurrencies at a good price. In just a few short months, when the institutional money comes pouring in, you can kiss any chance you had of buying Bitcoin for less than $20,000. Shoot, $50,000, goodbye. Those days will have come and gone. You see, as I mentioned earlier, Bitcoin is following a familiar pattern, the three-step boom pattern that could make you a Bitcoin millionaire. First, a new investment is created. Second, early adopters get in. Third, Wall Street backs up the truck, sending the market soaring. It's a three-step pattern that you can set your watch to. This is exactly what happened with the internet boom. First came phase one. In the 1980s, America Online, Prodigy, and a few other internet companies were formed. Then a few years later, we entered phase two. These companies went public, and in-the-know people in Silicon Valley were early investors. Wall Street still wasn't interested in them. When AOL went on its roadshow in 1992, nobody wanted anything to do with them. As CEO Steve Case would say later, the conventional wisdom was that the internet market would always be limited to hackers and hobbyists. This phase lasted until around 1995. Then came phase three. Wall Street jumped on board, and the share prices took off. AOL went from $2.34 all the way to $83. Yahoo went from $24 at its IPO in 1996 to $475. Intel went from $4 to as much as $75. Cisco went from $1.94 all the way to as high as $82. Anybody who got in before the big money had the chance to make a life-changing fortune. That's the key. You have to get in before the big money does. If you do, you can make enough money to change your life forever. Like Michael O., who'd never invested in cryptocurrencies, but grew $20,000 into $135,000 in just 3 months. Or Peter A., who said, I am now close to $200,000 after my initial funding of $8,000. That's why I'm bringing this to your attention right now. We're about to enter phase three. In the next few weeks, the big money is coming in, and once it arrives, there's no going back. We saw the same thing happen in the latter half of the 1960s. That's when the so-called Nifty 50 were created. This was a group of 50 companies tagged by Morgan Guaranty Trust as the companies of the future. At first, most people thought these growth stocks were too risky. But then Wall Street jumped in, and the 50 soared. In the short term, you could have tripled or quadrupled your money. And over the long term, some of the Nifty 50 would go on to become some of the best investments of all time. Walmart, a new retailer at the time, is now up 162,118%. McDonald's, which had just gone public, is now up over 55,918%. And Disney is up 87,971%. Just imagine if you'd invested a throwaway $500 in each of these companies back then. Back when they were in a similar position to today's top cryptocurrencies. Over the next 4+ decades, you could have averaged $32,000 per year, all from a tiny investment. We've seen this same pattern in other lesser-known financial markets too. Prior to the 1980s, almost no one invested in high-yield junk bonds. But then an enterprising analyst named Michael Milken started making hundreds of millions of dollars with them. Within a few years, there was a Wall Street-wide stampede into the asset. The real estate boom of the 2000s is another example. Over and over again, a new investment comes along. At first, Wall Street is skeptical. Then a new narrative takes hold, and institutions start using them. Before long, everyone on the street is jumping in. Now it's happening with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, which is probably why some of the smartest people in Silicon Valley are jumping in headfirst. Top venture capitalists have invested over $2.1 billion in cryptocurrency technology startups. That includes folks like Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal and the first outside investor in Facebook. In fact, Thiel's Founders Fund recently loaded up on $15 to $20 million worth of Bitcoin. Thiel and his team even created a brand new fund and made Bitcoin one of its first investments. Mark Andreessen, a Netscape co-founder and one of Silicon Valley's most influential venture capitalists, is also a major enthusiast. He said recently, "When we're sitting here in 20 years, we'll be talking about Bitcoin the way we talk about the internet today." Same goes for billionaire Richard Branson, Yahoo founder Jerry Yang, Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff, Google Ventures, and many, many more. But that's not all. The financial sector is also going all in. According to Business Insider, hedge funds are cashing in on Bitcoin mania. There are now over 120 Bitcoin hedge funds, with more popping up every day. This is huge. Hedge funds manage around $3 trillion. They alone could send the entire market 2 or 3 times higher. And get this, all those big banks that have been sitting on the sidelines, they're getting ready to jump into cryptos too. Fidelity's CEO has been speaking at cryptocurrency conferences and says she loves cryptos. Recently, the company partnered with Coinbase, and it's even started a Bitcoin mining operation. That's another $2.2 trillion in assets that could soon be up for grabs. The list goes on and on. Bank of America, the second largest bank in the U.S., just won a patent for a cryptocurrency exchange system. Citigroup CFO recently told investors that they're exploring cryptocurrencies. The NASDAQ is planning to launch Bitcoin futures as early as April. The NASDAQ is the second largest stock market in the world. It manages over $6.8 trillion in assets. Now, its millions of investors will have access to Bitcoin futures. And even JP Morgan Chase is coming around. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, has been one of Bitcoin's loudest critics. In September, he called Bitcoin a fraud and said that he'd fire anybody he caught trading it. Well, on January 9th, he took back those comments. And according to Bloomberg, his company has done a 180 and is now gauging demand for Bitcoin. Can you imagine what these big players could do to Bitcoin's price? Combined, they have $16 trillion under management. That's more money than the GDP of China. And that's just the start. The amount of assets under management across the globe is $84.9 trillion. Obviously, not all that money is going to flow into Bitcoin. But think of what could happen if just 1% of those trillions is invested in cryptos. It would immediately send $849 billion into the cryptocurrency markets, which would be like getting in on Bitcoin back in the early days. The point is, you're not too late. You still have a small window of time to get started in this market. Mark my words, institutional money is going to transform this market, just like it has in stocks. It's like the Midas touch. Just think of how much money institutions have brought into the stock market. Today, it makes up the bulk of investing and trading. 61% of Apple's shares are held by institutions. With Google's parent company, Alphabet, 81% of shares are held by institutions. And with smaller companies, it's not uncommon for 95% of shares to be held by them. Imagine getting in before those big players piled in billions of dollars, driving the price up. That's the kind of opportunity you have with cryptocurrencies right now. And what's great is that Wall Street finally has the perfect reason to buy cryptos. Why Wall Street is finally getting into cryptos. Newly released studies are showing that Bitcoin doesn't move with other assets. In Wall Street speak, it's an uncorrelated asset. That's a fancy way of saying that it can still go up even if stocks are going down. That's a dream come true for Wall Street. They love being able to diversify their offerings. It's the same reason they always recommend stocks and bonds, because the two assets don't move together. That makes Bitcoin extremely valuable to all the big investment houses. Look, I spent 15 years on Wall Street. I was a vice president for Shearson Lehman Brothers, and I've run a hedge fund. I know how institutional money works. I can already hear account managers telling their clients, you need to allocate 5% of your portfolio to Bitcoin and a few other cryptocurrencies. It's the best way to lower your volatility. I've said the same exact thing to clients. That's why it's not just hedge funds and big banks interested in cryptos. Pension funds, endowments, investment houses, they're all up for grabs. It makes perfect sense. Pension funds are desperate for money. By some estimates, state pension funds are staring at over $6 trillion in unfunded liabilities. They're not going to dig themselves out of that hole making 5% a year from stocks and bonds. That's probably why the Maryland State Retirement and Pension System is looking at cryptocurrencies, and why, in the UK, which is facing its own pension nightmare, pensions are starting to let you invest in a fund that tracks Bitcoin. Endowment funds are another natural fit for cryptos. Yale, Harvard, and others have been making billions on tech stocks for years. Through their venture capital operations, many of them got in early on some of the biggest names in tech years before the general public. That's why many experts, including the former portfolio manager for the University of Chicago, are telling them to jump into cryptocurrencies now. This is another $515 billion up for grabs. The list goes on and on. They won't be large stakes, but that won't matter. As you saw, even just 1% will send the crypto market soaring. Money managers will simply explain to their clients that they're investing in Bitcoin because it's a non-correlated hedge. That means it will help smooth out volatility. It will be a no-brainer. Bottom line, the rush is coming. Many of the most powerful countries, including China, UK, Russia, the Netherlands, and Canada, are just getting in. Russia used to be one of Bitcoin's biggest opponents, but now Russia's finance minister is telling Bloomberg that this year the country plans to accept Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as a legal financial instrument. This is a country with 144 million people and a GDP of $1.3 trillion announcing that it's about to open the floodgates to cryptocurrencies. Right before our eyes, the world is turning to cryptocurrencies. That's why I think it's critical that every investor put down a small chunk of change as soon as possible. As one of my subscribers points out, the beauty of these speculations is you can throw down a tiny grub stake on some of them, and if it goes to even $5 or $10, you are talking about gigantic profits. Tom P. Now, just by investing in Bitcoin, you could make 20 times your money. However, by investing in the 3 smaller crypto plays I've identified, you could make much, much more. That's because of the Bitcoin waterfall effect. You see, when new money enters the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin has always gone up. But what most people don't realize is that other, lesser-known cryptos often go much higher. Take a look. Last year, a handful of other cryptos put Bitcoin's 1,318% gains to shame. I've developed a system to spot these smaller, faster-moving cryptos before they explode. It's been my secret to success. It's helped me create a 7-figure cryptocurrency fortune for my family. Last year, I used it to deliver the opportunity for multiple 10,000% plus gainers. I call it my BITS system. Here's how it works. It's a 4-part strategy that can help me predict when a cryptocurrency is setting up for a big move. The first part is the B, which stands for Business Value Ratio. It helps pinpoint cryptos when they're cheap. Generally speaking, a cryptocurrency or stock will trade around the black dotted line. That's our baseline. When we see activity drop off, that's basically the equivalent of a stock getting oversold. It's telling us the crypto is getting cheap. It's the first sign that we need to give this crypto a look. Next, we run it through the I, which stands for insiders. I have relationships with almost every major development team, PR firm, and most cryptocurrency VC investors in the world. Being able to tap this network has helped me find some incredible ideas. For example, one of my contacts is an eccentric Oxford-trained mathematician. He's a very private man, as most of my contacts are, so I can't reveal his name. But he runs a big crypto ICO site and has relationships with all the development teams. He told me about a tiny Swiss-based crypto that few people have ever heard of. He said if he was going up in space for 10 years with no computer, this crypto would be one of the names he would own. I looked into it, recommended it, and within 6 months, anybody who followed my recommendation could have made 370%. That turns a $1,000 investment into a quick $4,700. Now, if you're already worth millions of dollars, maybe this doesn't change your life. But if you're not, this is a big deal. It could be that golfing trip you've always wanted to take but never could. That's a nice chunk of change for a few minutes of work. I also have a relationship with a crypto pioneer and founder in Nova Scotia. He's so secretive that he lives in an underground World War II era bunker. He was the catalyst that led me to a crypto disrupting the social media industry, which gave my readers the chance to make as much as 1,241% gains in 6 months. And he also led me to a big gain on another crypto, which gave anybody who followed my recommendation as much as 1,270% in 7 months. My contacts also helped me find my biggest winner to date, a crypto I call the Ethereum of China. I came across it one day while I was doing some research, and it seemed too good to be true. It was trading for pennies, yet it was basically China's version of Ethereum, the wildly popular crypto here in America. I wanted to get in touch with their team to make sure everything was good as it looked. So I contacted one of my crypto guys in Portugal, and he wrangled a meeting. Before I knew it, I was talking to one of this crypto's experts in China on a bad Skype connection at 1 a.m. It was a lot of work, but it was worth every minute. We've taken some small profits on this crypto a few times. So far, my readers have had a chance to pocket 1,190% in 3 months, 14,354% in 6 months. And at last count, anyone who's currently following my recommendation could be up as much as 139,000%. That's not a typo, 139,000% in less than a year. One of my subscribers, a man named Paul, invested just under $500 in it. A few months back, he wrote to tell me that his stake had grown just short of $140,000. He said, I cannot even wrap my head around how big of a gain that represents. But suffice it to say that this one transaction significantly expanded my ability to care for my family and others. I can't wait to hear what his stake is worth now. By my figures, his $500 is now worth more than $500,000. These are just a few examples. I could give you many more. I travel all over the world to meet crypto experts. London, Lisbon, Berlin, Copenhagen, New York. I even have a relationship with a hedge fund manager in Tel Aviv. You must be tied into the insiders in this space if you want to be able to find the good deals. Before I issue a recommendation, I make sure that my insiders give it their stamp of approval. Up next is T, which stands for technicals. For this, we use the momentum indicator called the relative strength indicator, or RSI. This is a very, very simple tool that helps us time our buys. It oscillates between 0 and 100 as the currency strengthens or weakens. When we see the RSI break above 50 and all the other parts of the system are clicking, it tells us the momentum is getting bullish. The buyers are coming in. It's very simple and straightforward. And finally, we get to S, which stands for sentiment. This is our special sauce. You see, our research has shown that before a cryptocurrency takes off, we often see a surge in social media chatter about that particular crypto. Once we see the chatter break a 30-day high, this tells us that interest in the cryptocurrency is building. Let me show you what I mean. For the first half of 2016, the price of Bitcoin barely moved. It started the year around $450 and was still there 5 months later. However, in May, sentiment indicated a buy on Bitcoin. You can see it clearly on this chart. The line suddenly spikes. A few weeks after this signal, Bitcoin took off. It soared all the way to $750 in less than a month and would nearly pass $1,000 before the year was out. I recommended it to my readers and we're still holding. Anybody who followed my recommendation could have made as much as 3,683%. The same thing happened with the Ethereum of China. In February, its social media chatter spiked. Anybody who followed this signal could have made a life-changing fortune in a few months. These are just a few examples. It happened again in October. My indicator anticipated a big move for a little-known privacy coin. In just over 2 months, it had rocketed as much as 715%. We're seeing incredible gains on a regular basis. Now, obviously, there were some big moves that this sentiment indicator missed. No indicator anywhere in the world is going to capture every big move. That would be impossible. Cryptocurrencies are volatile. There are some that shoot up, but if there's no reason for the spike, they're probably coming right back down. That's why I analyze each crypto personally, run it by my team, and make sure it passes all my other checklists. I want the ones that can not only give us a quick gain, but also have the chance of becoming as valuable as Bitcoin is. Those are the ones we focus on. According to our research, new opportunities are surfacing all the time, and now we have a tool to help you find them. Using my system, I've recently identified several more cryptos that I think are about to soar. They're in the same position as my previous picks, which have delivered everything from 207% gains in 11 days to 139,000% gains in 11 months. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed, but if you get in on them now, before this Wall Street money comes flooding in, it could completely change your financial future. Now, out of fairness for my paying subscribers, I can't give away their names in this presentation, but I've prepared a report that will give you all the details. It's called The Most Explosive Crypto Plays for 2018. It reveals the names and tickers of these cryptos, a full write-up, and everything you need to learn so you can start investing in them today, including a buy-up-to price. Since these types of opportunities are volatile, it's important to observe the recommended buy-up-to price to ensure you never chase the price. This report will also teach you exactly how my system works. I've never seen another approach like it. As far as I know, no one research firm has a model as tested as mine for spotting potentially big crypto moves before they happen. Obviously, investing in these types of plays is a little different from a stock, but my team and I have painstakingly prepared a complete video training site. We walk you through step by step, showing you how to set up an account and place trades. Judging from the feedback so far, the training seems to be working. I appreciate your step-by-step videos on how to open accounts and fund them. The videos break it all down so it's easy to follow. Greg G. This training series is included in your report. Now, there's no cost for this cryptocurrency guide, the training modules, and the research on the stocks. It's all included when you try a 100% no-risk subscription to my premium research service, the Palm Beach Letter. You see, I've been approached by development teams to start my own cryptocurrency, and I've been asked multiple times, including by one of the most legendary speculators of the last 40 years, to start my own cryptocurrency hedge fund. Each time I've politely declined. I prefer to share my ideas directly with everyday people in the Palm Beach Letter. It's our flagship publication here at the Palm Beach Research Group. In each issue, we typically spend our time looking for great retirement investment opportunities. But we also spend a portion of our time on alternative ideas that really grab our attention, an investment story so compelling we have to try it. Cryptocurrencies are the perfect example. For example, one of our founders, Tom Dyson, was an early Bitcoin investor. Tom's not a speculator, but early on he could tell Bitcoin was going to be big. So in 2013, back when Bitcoin traded for less than $5, he put $5,000 in. Then he added another $5,000 a week later, followed by another $15,000. It didn't take long for Bitcoin to rocket higher. He started selling when it went over $125. He was almost entirely out by the time it was at $350 per Bitcoin. In hindsight, he should have held. But still, he made over $500,000 in 13 months. A gain like that can completely change your retirement, which is why I've dedicated a portion of our model portfolio to cryptocurrencies. To pass my checklist, each play must give you the chance to make at least 10 times your money in the next 12 months. Of course, not every pick will do that. But as of the start of the new year, some of my open recommendations have gone up as high as 1,149%, 3,422%, 7,493%, and even 13,297%. Ted T., who invested about $20,000 in a few cryptos at the beginning of the year, recently told me, "As I look today, my cryptocurrency portfolio is $691,000. I'm 67 years old, and it looks like I will be retiring from my current employer within the next year so I can pursue other ventures." One guy used his gains to put a down payment on $1 million home for his family. A few months ago, I went to a bar in Lisbon, Portugal. I'd barely sat down before the bartender rushed over and said, "Are you Tika Tawari, the crypto guy?" He didn't tell me how much he's made from my research, but from the look on his face, I bet it's a lot. It's all been very flattering. But as I said, we're just getting started. The last time I saw anything close to this was in the early 1990s. The internet was just beginning to pick up steam, but most people still didn't understand it. I see cryptocurrencies and the accompanying blockchain technology going through the same cycle, which is why I think you should put some money in my latest recommendations. The amount of money you could make today is tremendous, and all you have to risk is a few $100s. That's why I say that when done right, investing in cryptocurrencies can be a lot less risky than traditional investing. You don't have to put up nearly as much money. To make a lot of money from blue chip stocks, small investments won't cut it. You need a lot more. But almost everybody can put $500, $1,000, $2,000 into a crypto idea and really move the needle on their wealth creation. Now, obviously, I'm not guaranteeing that will happen, despite one of my readers joking that I'm the cryptocurrency prophet, and a blogger called me the oracle of cryptos. I don't have a crystal ball. You never know what the future holds. But as you can see, the potential upside in these ideas is so huge that you can have tiny positions and still make massive gains. When you join the Palm Beach letter, I'll immediately rush you a copy of the most explosive crypto plays for 2018. But that's not all. I've also prepared several more bonus reports you can't get any other way. The first is the perfect complement to my cryptocurrency ideas and is essential for anyone at or near retirement. It's a new report my team and I put together with the help from Ted Benner, the father of the 401k. You may not recognize Ted's name, but he's one of the greatest living financial minds in America. He's advised heads of state, as well as many of the largest, most successful companies in America. Over the past few years, I've gotten to know Ted, and when I talked with him recently, he dropped a bombshell. He told me that he's become extremely frustrated with what's happened to his creation, the 401k. Wall Street has essentially taken it over and turned it into something he never intended. So he started allocating more and more of his own money into another retirement vehicle, a unique high-yield account that could help you generate thousands of dollars in extra income every month. Few people know about these accounts, but Fortune 500 executives and politicians have been pouring millions into them for years. Hillary Clinton has one. So does former Vice President Joe Biden. What makes these accounts so great is that they can grow your money at up to 5% over the long term, tax-free. That's right. If you set it up a certain way, you don't have to pay taxes on your money. Compare that to regular income, which is taxed as high as 37%. Plus, with this account, your money is protected from market crashes. You don't have to worry about your account balance going down. It won't happen, even if there's a 50% market crash tomorrow. Now, most people have never heard of these accounts. That's because, believe it or not, the government restricts advertising them. But Ted loves them. And my team and I have spent the past few years investigating them. I've set one up for every member of my family, and our firm's co-founder, Tom Dyson, has a huge portion of his net worth in these. I've put together a special report, How to Fund Your Own Worry-Free 100% Tax-Free Retirement. It will explain exactly what these accounts are and show you how to get started. If you're at or near retirement, this report is a must-have. Like I said, it's the perfect balance to my cryptocurrency plays, which are more speculative. It's yours free when you sign up for the Palm Beach letter. Plus, for a limited time, we're including a second bonus report. You see, if you act quickly on the ideas I've told you about today, I expect you to make a lot of money very soon, which means you'll probably find yourself doing a lot more of the things you enjoy, whatever they may be, visiting friends and family, going on cruises, trying out new restaurants, collecting rare coins. We want you to be able to enjoy your wealth to the fullest without getting ripped off by greedy opportunists. So we put together a special report we call the Retirement Crib Sheet. It's full of hundreds of tips and tricks to help you get the most out of your newfound wealth. Do you golf? On page 16, you'll learn how to get paid. Yes, get paid to go golfing. Do you enjoy road trips? On page 19, you'll discover a way to earn a free tank of gas every month. And on page 45, we'll show you how to always guarantee the lowest price for gas. Want to visit exotic locations? On page 11, you'll learn how to fly first class for free. It's surprisingly easy to do. These are just a few examples. There are hundreds more. With this report, you'll have all the tools you need to save thousands every year as you enjoy your newfound wealth. This report is included at no extra cost with your Palm Beach letter subscription. Here's my proposal. As you can see, the opportunities we're providing aren't things you learn much from by simply surfing the web. I have to use all of the connections I've made over the years and spend a lot of time doing boots-on-the-ground research. I've spent the better part of the past year investigating cryptocurrencies. I've traveled all over the world, tracking many of these guys down. In some cases, it took me over 6 months to arrange a meeting. In other words, the information you're getting isn't something you'll find on a free blog or website, or even a regular newsletter for that matter. Normally, this level of research would cost hundreds of dollars. However, because these opportunities are so timely, and because even a small investment can make a huge impact on your entire portfolio in 2018, we're temporarily making it available to you for a fraction of the cost of a daily coffee. Plus, we'll give you 60 days to try it out risk-free. If at any point during the next 60 days you decide it's not for you, just give us a call. You'll get a full refund on your subscription, and you'll get to keep all the reports. It's my way of thanking you for giving my research a try. Here's a recap of everything you'll get when you subscribe. 12 issues of the Palm Beach letter, delivered around the first Thursday of every month, with full details of my latest opportunity. A special report, the most explosive crypto plays for 2018. You'll get all the details of my bit system and the names and tickers of my top picks, including a full write-up on each. Bonus report number 1, how to fund your own worry-free, 100% tax-free retirement. Bonus report number 2, the Retirement Crib Sheet. Cryptocurrency Starter Kit. You'll gain immediate access to all our cryptocurrency training materials, including video tutorials, our cryptocurrency quick start guide, and more. You'll have everything you need to invest in almost any cryptocurrency today. Updates, As needed, I'll send you updates to keep you up to speed on what's happening with the picks in our model portfolio. Dedicated support staff. We have a member services team ready to help you at a moment's notice. Anytime you have a question about your membership, just give them a call and they'll promptly answer any questions you have. 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. You'll have a full 60 days to test the waters. You can look through all the reports, all the training videos, all the recommendations, and make sure it's what you're looking for. If you decide it's not for you, just let our customer service team know before the 60 days is out, and you'll get a full refund on your subscription. Just remember, you have very little time to access this wealth of resources and get started. As we speak, Wall Street is pooling its cash, getting ready to flood the cryptocurrency market with billions, potentially even trillions of dollars. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you miss it, you may regret it for a long, long time. Don't wait. Just click on the button below to get started. I'm Tika Tawari. Thank you for your time.